With the newly elected president, a figure who's had a long history in leading the nation, Timor-Leste is heading toward a bright future. This year, 2022, marks a milestone of 20 years of bilateral relations between Indonesia and Timor-Leste. We have the honor and privilege to be speaking to the President of Timor-Leste, His Excellency RAMOS HORTA, to get his deeper insights on how to lead the nation of the youngest democracy in the world and how Indonesia stands to support in bilateral context. I'm Rahmat Idris. This is Special Dialogue. You are watching Special Dialogue here on TVRI. I'm Rahmat Idris. We are here at the beautiful and majestic Labuan Bajo, East Nusa Tenggara, and we are extremely honored and delighted to be sitting down in conversation with the President of Timor-Leste, His Excellency Ramos Horta. Your Excellency, Mr. President, thank you very much for making the time to talk to us. I should say, obrigado.
Terima kasih.
Oh, that's a nice reply. Now here we are at the beautiful Labuan Bajo, East Nusa Tenggara, Mr. President. We're aware that your trip has been long and enduring, but we'd like to hear how has Labuan Bajo and the trip been for you?
Well, I was here about 10 years ago, first time and the only time, and I have to say I have been overwhelmingly impressed with the transformation of Labuan Bajo. But I also hear that Kupang has changed also a lot. I haven't been to Kupang in almost 20 years. I was there as foreign minister in 2003 or 4, and I'm going through Kupang again. But Labuan Bajo absolutely surprised me with extraordinary progress made. In many ways, it's not only the physical infrastructures that are very important, and the roads, the hotels, the marina, the airport, the port, but what I noticed, the living standards of the people also improved significantly, increased. Look like there is a much greater purchasing power.
Yeah.
Because to have so many shops and supermarkets and so on, there has to be people here permanently living to buy. Otherwise, the supermarkets would be closed. Yeah. So it's amazing. Very surprised.
Right. So that's a direct comparison to the first visit 10 years ago for you.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, Mr. President, Labuan Bajo is a part of East Nusa Tenggara, and we share a little over 260 kilometers land borders from East Nusa Tenggara with a very own Okusin, Timor-Leste, and this has been quite a focus for the two countries. How do you see some of the most significant observations that you've made that can be adaptable to Timor-Leste?
Yes, unfortunately what was done in Wekusi with enormous amount of money, maybe it was excessive for Wekusi in terms of airport, in terms of the wide boulevard, the wide streets, etc., etc. When it's an enclave, autonomous region of Timor-Leste with only 60,000 people, we should always do things consistent with our possibilities, even when you anticipate development down the road 10, 20 years.
Right.
The difference is that in Labuan Bajo, it seems that there was a plan for development of infrastructure based on the fact that the Komodo dragon exists only in Labuan Bajo, in Indonesia, the only place in the world, so the huge attraction. Then the governor was very active. He went around the world bringing investors. So things went in parallel. The government spent money on infrastructures, but the government also actively went out to Europe, to the United States, Asia,
to invite people to come in.
Invite people to come, to invest. The hotels are all either international or Indonesian owned. But everything has to go hand in hand. Otherwise, you have an international airport that is not used. Otherwise, you have a modern hospital that is not used.
Right.
And you have even a five-star hotel paid for by the government that is not used. So normally, in most projects like this, everything goes hand in hand.
Mr. President, I'd like to talk about your presidency. I guess, firstly, a big congratulations is in order. Newly elected in April, and then now since May, you're the president again of Timor-Leste after the same tenure around 10 years ago, 2007 to 2012. Mr. President, how would it be different this time as you compare to the previous period or tenure administration of yours compared to now in 2022, where things have changed, developments have been boosted? What will be your focus, and to see just where you're going to bring Timor-Leste heading towards during your administration?
Well, bearing in mind that our political system is different from Indonesia's, in that Indonesia, you have a presidentialist system. The president is the executive power. He is the one who appoints the cabinet and make the decisions. In Timor-Leste, we have what's called semi-presidential system, where the prime minister is the one who organizes the program, the budget, and so on. In our case, the president promulgates the budget, promulgate laws. Laws do not pass without my signature. However, on things that matter to me, like fight against extreme poverty, elimination of child stunt and extreme malnutrition, developing the country, attracting foreign investors in a major way, I can only advocate, I can speak about it, but in the end, it is the government that will do it as I advocate, or they don't do, or they do something else. So that's the difference. But me, as a president, absolute priority for me, it's an ethical, moral issue that we must eliminate child poverty, child malnutrition.
Extreme poverty, as you mentioned.
Yes, we have to, and we have the resources. There is no reason why Timor-Leste should have so much child poverty.
All right, Mr. President, we have to take a short break. We'll be back. I'd like to get your take on the 20 years of our bilateral relations. And we'll delve deeper into more conversations with Mr. President of Timor-Leste. Don't go anywhere. You're still watching Special Dialogue here on TVRI. I'm still sitting down with the President of Timor-Leste, His Excellency RAMOS HORTA. Mr. President, you mentioned a little bit on your focuses, particularly to alleviate poverty. And that is also the same case where it originated from a poor management of human resources. The experience of our own President, Joko Widodo, at the beginning of his administration was that to empower human resources. What sort of approach would you do in Timor-Leste to sort of empower human resources as a way to alleviate extreme poverty?
Well, in Indonesia's situation, you have an abundance of human resources. Indonesia is a country of 70 years of independence, and it has been able to train hundreds of thousands of people with master's degrees in public administration, business administration, in public policies, every area from A to Z. So you empower people who know, who are educated, who are trained for executing the programs. In our case, we still have difficulties with human resources. Our civil administration is extremely precarious. It's still going through huge problems. The problems of hyper inflation of civil servants. We have too many, and of which maybe 10% are properly trained. And at the same time, we have a constant change of government. And change of government not only from one party to another, but from one fragile coalition to another fragile coalition. And
that doesn't do the country any good.
Doesn't do the country any good at all. And to satisfy the parties in the coalition, the main leader who becomes the prime minister, negotiating the government, has to allow in people into the government who shouldn't be there. They don't have academic or professional qualifications, and they don't have the proven experience.
That's the lack of competencies.
Lack of competencies. So that's one problem. So, and yes, without human resources, very difficult to execute the best programs.
Right. Mr. President, you also mentioned to a lot of medias before you talked to us that one of the main focuses for the new administrations, your administration, is just to boost and to amp up industry. So meaning building manufacturing infrastructure. And we're aware that in November, one of the largest scale industrial zone will be launched in Timor-Leste, meaning that you have to invite all of these investors, Indonesia, China, South Korea. How do you go about it?
Well, as president, I will do my best. I'm already doing my best to encourage investors, and I'm in touch almost daily basis with potential investors in Hong Kong, Singapore, Europe, wherever may be, even with scientists in the UK who are working on a special formula to kill the dengue mosquito, which is rampant in Timor-Leste, here in NTT, and
that's
even
still plaguing the country.
Yes, including in Singapore. Singapore, which is super organized, they have severe cases, many cases of dengue, which is can be fatal. And so I'm even dealing with that to get these scientists to come and do a test trial in Timor-Leste, and they will come in the next few months for a visit. So I'm covering every area, including digitalization, artificial intelligence. I want Timor-Leste to become, in the next 5-10 years, the web hub of the region, artificial intelligence hub of the region, because we're starting literally new, and we can bring in the latest connectivity.
Another beacon of information technology.
Yes, and we are going to have a connectivity coming from Australia, a submarine cable, one from Alor, one from Matambua to Motaim, to Batu Gade. Of course, that is not a submarine cable, it is fiber optic. And in November, we inaugurate the new port of Timor, the port of Dil, which is a modern port.
So that's something to look forward to in Timor-Leste.
Yes, and that are necessary for investors to come.
All right. I'd like to touch on our bilateral relations in the next segment. We have to take a short break again. Mr. President, stay with us. We have more coming up for this discussion. Don't go anywhere. You're still watching Special Dialogue here on TVRI. I'm Rahmat Idris. We're still here in the beautiful Labuan Bajo, East Nusa Tenggara, speaking to His Excellency RAMOS HORTA, the President of Timor-Leste. I mentioned at the opening of our program, Mr. President, that it is a milestone of 20 years bilateral relations between Indonesia and Timor-Leste, and it is a unique one indeed because Timor-Leste used to be a part of our country. How do you see the current state of our relations?
exemplary, the relationship between Indonesia and Timor-Leste. There are no two countries in the Asia region that have a better relations than Timor-Leste and Indonesia. Thanks to the leadership in Indonesia, leadership in Timor-Leste, and the two societies, the people across Indonesia and across Timor-Leste. Let the past belong to the past. The past that was bad, was tragic, we leave it in the past. We honor victims and of all sides, but we must look forward. And that's what the philosophy from day one. So I want to expand, increase the relationship with the government of Indonesia, with Jakarta, and I have met with the president, Widodo, and
at the Istana Bogor Palace.
Yes,
the Bogor Palace, I should say. What were the highlights?
The president and I have almost like same wavelength in certain issues. Like one initiative that the president came up with was to build an industrial park zone along the border of Indonesia, Timor and East Timor, on our side, for Indonesian companies, industries to set up on our territory, for export oriented to Europe, to Australia, and so on. So we have Indonesian companies, some Timorese labor, some Indonesian labor, and we make the whole areas along the border an industrial zone.
Is this going to happen in the near future, Mr. President?
Well, it will happen as fast as our respective leaders and bureaucracies can work.
Right.
And also with the governor, NTT, who is a very dynamic, super dynamic individual. Look, I look at Labuan Bajo 10 years ago and today. Well, thanks to the leadership of the province of NTT, of course, with strong support, like-minded, like President Widodo, that these things can happen. So I hope that NTT and, of course, the federal government of Jakarta can with us work to transform Timor-Leste and for mutual benefit of Timor-Leste, of NTT, but also of the whole of Indonesia.
Right. As a matter of fact, crossing the land border of Winni to Okusi was an experience of its own. So it would be exciting to see these borders to not only survive but thrive in the coming future.
I would prefer that there are no more visa required. Of course, there is no visa, no fee. No, that Timorese students, for instance, they can just walk into Indonesia, anywhere in Indonesia, and register to study.
Has there been talks to make this happen, Mr. President?
Well, I did mention to the president. The president is absolutely committed. He is action-oriented. His brilliant mind when it comes to economics, brilliant mind when it comes to, of course, to international issues. The president so far is the only world leader who has been to the two countries in war, in the Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah, the geopolitical tensions.
So he is a true statesman. But he doesn't focus only on global issues. He focuses on global issues that affect us domestically. So he is a person who has been to Papua, I don't know, maybe 10 times, has been to NTT 10 times, 5, 6 times, but also has gained international stature.
He actually made the visits to those countries in war as a mission of peace. Mr. President, we know that Timor-Leste is making its bid to become a member of ASEAN, and Indonesia all this time has always been one of the strongest supporters for Timor-Leste. So how is this thing going at the moment for Timor-Leste in a bid to become a member, a part of ASEAN, as one of the strongest supporters also for Timor-Leste in terms of trades and politics and economy? Yes,
Indonesia has been very much in the forefront since day one when we applied to join ASEAN. We are part of the region. We are not member of any other regional organizations. These are two preconditions for joining ASEAN. And we applied in 2011. There has been a lot of preparation, a lot of progress ASEAN mission to Timor-Leste have reported, although their report is reserved for heads of states, governments of ASEAN countries, but we hear from the grapevine that they are very much impressed with Timor-Leste progress. WTO, World Trade Organization, to which we also applied, they have had missions to Timor-Leste, and they have been extremely favorably impressed. By early next year, we are joining WTO. And we started negotiating WTO long after we started to do the ASEAN. So I hope that by this November 2023, or before, under Cambodia or under Indonesia, or the two, when we do with Cambodia as Cambodia ending, then roll over to Indonesia as Indonesia take over.
The chairmanship next year.
Chairmanship, so and we join. It will be highly symbolic that we do accede to ASEAN during the last part of Cambodia's chairmanship, because Cambodia has been extremely supportive of Timor-Leste, and the beginning of Indonesia's presidency.
So not only ASEAN, we can only imagine when all the distribution channels is opened up by WTO, the wealth of opportunities coming for Timor-Leste.
Absolutely.
In the next segment, Mr. President, Your Excellency, I'd like to get deeper into you as a Nobel laureate. We'll talk further on that topic in just a few minutes. We'll be right back with more on Special Dialogue here on TVRI. Welcome back to Special Dialogue here on TVRI World. We've arrived to the final segment of our conversation with His Excellency RAMOS HORTA, the President of Timor-Leste. Mr. President, one of the things that we admire about you is that you are not only the President of Timor-Leste, you are also a Nobel recipient, a Nobel laureate. What does it mean for you? How will this influence your administration moving forward?
Well, I don't know whether being Nobel Peace Laureate influences me in one way or another, because I won the Nobel Peace Prize Laureate based on past activities. The Nobel Committee in Oslo knows me, many people know, and so what I always believed, and I continue to believe, is freedom, human rights, democracy, justice, non-violence, compassionate leadership, that I care about the common people, the poor people, the people who are forgotten often in societies, the
marginalized people out there.
The marginalized people, the people in the communities, and I care about the rest of the world. I travel extensively. When I left office, for 10 years, I had positions with the United Nations. I was specially involved Secretary General in West Africa. I was chairman of the high-level panel on UN peace operations to review the UN peace operations all over the world and propose new ways how the UN can be more effective. I was member of the board of mediators of the new Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. So I care about the world. I care about other people. I care about the people of Ukraine, as I care about the people of Yemen, of Syria, Afghanistan, and I care about the people of Myanmar, who today seem to have been forgotten, but they are still dying and they are still fighting for democracy.
Right. And to our delight, Excellency Mr. President, is that as a Nobel laureate, you can nominate other recipients or other possible recipients of the Nobel Prize. And you nominate two of our Muslims, the largest Muslim organizations in Indonesia, Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah. What was the story behind this?
Well, I knew of NU and Muhammadiyah for a long time, for many decades, particularly having known personally Abdul Rahman Wahid, Gus Dur. I met him,
former president.
A former president, late president, many years before Timor independence. I met him in Paris, and when we were both there in a conference, and he the first public figure in Indonesia, in Asia actually, who first talked about the need for a referendum in Timor-Leste. So a great human being. Then I start reading about NU and the Muhammadiyah, and I believe these two organizations are at least, if not entirely altogether, they are at least in part, thanks to them, that Indonesia remains such a great, vibrant, multicultural, multiracial, tolerant, multireligious, tolerant, embracing country. Indonesia is an example to us, to the rest of the world. The post-Indonesia, since Indonesia Suharto regime, since 2008, 2009, when it has come a long way into being a very dynamic democracy, and is still extremely open. So, and this is part, of course, to the leaders, the presidents, since B.J. Habibie, all the way to President Joko Widodo, but thanks to these two great movements, that's why I nominate them for the Nobel Peace Prize. You don't win, might not win immediately, but I persist, I insist for the next 2-3 years more to see if, and they should win, because they deserve more than many who in the past got the Nobel Peace Prize.
And we truly thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all of those inspiring words and the efforts, and hopefully it will come true for Indonesia, Your Excellency. Just my final question to you, just to let our audience get a little bit more intimate, to know you personally a little closer. Just my final question to you, Your Excellency. What is a typical day for a RAMOS HORTA when you're not heading towards a bilateral or multilateral meetings, when you don't have to meet with the cabinet's ministers, when you don't have to deal with all these businesses? What is a typical day like for a RAMOS HORTA, and how do you maintain strength and vigor, Mr. President?
Well, I enjoy meet with common people, simple people, children in particular. The presidential palace in Timor has no military security. I don't allow weapons. The gates of the presidency is open. I have a garden used by children from the street. A little swimming pool for children, for the children from the street. I have a special school for children in the gardens of the presidency. And I drive often my own car. That's totally open.
You do? You still do?
I still do.
That is admirable.
I still do that.
Wow.
And I also, the same day as I deal with children, with poor people in community, I'm speaking with some leader in Europe or in Asia, or the Secretary General, with a king or queen or with a prince. But for me, all human beings, and for all I have time.
Wow, you are such an inspiration to continue giving to those in need, gives you strength and happiness that you need.
But you know, I have a special connection with NTT, with Kupang. I first came to Kupang in 72 or 73, and again in 74. I became friends with Gubernur El Tari. And I'm going to his grave in Kupang. I remember him well. I have pictures of him in my office.
All right. Mr. President, Excellency RAMOS HORTA, this has been a revelation. Thank you very much for talking to us here on TVR World.
Thank you. Terima kasih.
Stay healthy. Obrigado again.
Obrigado. Terima kasih. Sama-sama.
And I guess the conversations with Mr. President of Timor-Leste, His Excellency RAMOS HORTA, sort of shine a light on how bright the future will be for Timor-Leste. And also, Indonesia continues to become a loyal and strong ally to Timor-Leste in the framework of a strong bilateral ties. I'm Rahmat Idris, and that concludes our special dialogue. Thanks for watching.
waters are a silent witness to the greatness of Bugis sailors. Its depths hold treasures that will never run out. Shoals of sea-dwelling fishes promise hopes to the local fishermen. Coral reefs are the home to life that must exist for the well-being of local fishermen, those in the sea and the ones on land. In the past, this land was a kingdom called Goatalo. The location is very strategic in the shipping route between Malacca and Maluku. The Makassar Bugis sailors' skill in seafaring the ocean was also famous across continents. In the eyes of merchants, Makassar became an important commercial hub for eastern Indonesia. Until this day, Makassar is one of the 4 main development centers of Indonesia, besides Jakarta, Surabaya, and Medan.
Makassar is not only famous for its legend of Bugis sailors in their seafaring journeys. The maritime potential that exists adds an interesting side to the city. Tons of fish per day are caught by fishermen, and it has been a source of livelihood for the coastal community for years.
Makassar waters has great potentials in fisheries and aquaculture, making it in 2020 having an export value of 5.4 trillion. The existing commodities reach all the way to 50 countries across the world, with the top 5 destination countries: China, South Korea, Vietnam, the United States, and Japan. Strong sailors are not born from calm waters. The tenacity of the Bugis Makassar sailors is also famous across oceans. Other than spices, marine wealth in the form of fish caught at that time also become a commodity offered by Makassar merchant ships to foreign nations. They still exist and inhabit the coast and island. One of them is Barangkadi Island. A fisherman village with an area of 4 hectares, stretching from the east to the south, located 11 kilometers from the center of Makassar.